Welcome to OutsideMargins.com SideTrip, where we show you some less traveled to places you should not pass up when you're out there being a tourist. In the first episode, we're heading to Rothenburg ob der Tauber, an authentic and well-preserved medieval German town that's rich in culture and history, and also looks pretty much the exact same way it did 300 years ago. We'll also visit Burg Colmberg, a 700-year-old castle nearby that's been converted into a hotel. Rothenburg can be found in central Germany just south of the city of Würzburg. It's a modern town like any other with McDonald's and soccer teams and Wi-Fi, but at its center is a historic city that has structures dating back to the 12th century. A giant wall still surrounds the city on all sides, lined with ancient watchtowers. And there are walkways connecting each watchtower that you can patrol like a knight. There are only 4 roads that enter the old city, and they all pass through huge defensive gate towers. The gates are the 800-year-old Roter Tor at the northwest, the Klingentor, named after its bell tower, the creepy Galgentor, where they used to hang criminals, and the military Spitaltor at the southern tip. In addition to the roads, there are many gates for foot traffic. Luckily, you can find parking next to almost every one, so you don't have to try and drive on tiny streets meant for horses. We went in through that one. When you approach Rothenburg, the first and most obvious thing you notice is the city wall. It looks defensively formidable and intimidating, but somehow Rothenburg has been taken over countless times by countless armies throughout its history. And even after some of it was bombed out in World War II, the wall is still standing. Stepping inside the wall is like going back in time, except for all the cars parked everywhere. After being nearly wiped out from wars and the Black Plague in the 1600s, Rothenburg slowly tried to build its population back up, but it wasn't until the 1800s that it was rediscovered and turned into the national treasure and tourist trap you can see today. Walking around, it seems like every street you're on has something older than the last. For example, just down this street is the Church of St. Jacob that was built in the 1480s. Just to put that in some perspective, the 1480s was around the time that Leonardo da Vinci painted The Last Supper, and the Inca Empire had just built Machu Picchu in South America, a continent that St. Jacob's congregation didn't even know existed yet. But as old as it is, the Church of St. Jacob is still newer than Rothenburg's town hall. The gray side of the building was built in the 1200s, and the white side with the tower was added in centuries later in the 1600s by an architect who clearly did not care about matching. If you head south from the town hall for a few minutes, you'll pass through the most tourist-driven area on your way to the Plan Line, a crooked little building framed by 2 gate towers that is the most photographed spot in all of Rothenburg, and ironically, a popular selling postcard. Iconic scenes like this in Germany's fairy tale aesthetic actually helped inspire Disney cartoons, as Walt Disney used Rothenburg as a model for Pinocchio's village. It's easy to see why, kind of like how Disney used Neuschwanstein Castle as a model for the Queen's Castle in Snow White. And he used Neuschwanstein Castle as a model for the King's Castle in Sleeping Beauty. And how he used Neuschwanstein Castle for Cinderella's castle. I mean, come on, Walt. What are you doing, man? I know, buddy. It's hard to come up with new stuff. You did good work, though. It's hard to blame him, though, since Rothenburg really is that cool. Just like hundreds of years ago, homes, inns, pubs, and stores are all neatly packed together along cobblestone streets. And as another throwback to the Middle Ages, you can still find the shops you want by their ironwork symbols hanging outside of their businesses. Oh, and get some food. The butcher shops have all kinds of fresh local meats, and Rothenburg's bakeries are known for their Schneeball pastries. Luckily, you can burn a lot of calories exploring a medieval village, and there's plenty of village to be explored in Rothenburg. To complete the medieval experience, we left Rothenburg ob der Tauber and headed about 20 miles east to Burg Colmberg, an ancient castle converted into a modern hotel. It's a real castle and you can stay there, for a lot less than you would think, too. Colmberg Castle sits on a hill overlooking the town of Colmberg. The castle was first built in the 1300s, and by 1415 it was under the control of House Hohenzollern, whose royal family is still around today. House Hohenzollern kept it for almost 600 years before it fell to Prussia. Colmberg's history is written in the stones of its main keep. The buildings are all from different centuries, the latest addition being the white timbered hotel section on the right. The castle tower in the center is off limits because it's old and unsafe, but the rest of the castle is fair game if you're a guest at the hotel. Like Rothenburg, Colmberg Castle is definitely worth exploring. Inside the hotel itself, you'll find a museum's worth of old relics, including what looks like a bear attacking a Model T car, and outside the castle grounds, there's a nature preserve full of animals. If you've ever wanted to stay at a castle, this is the one to stay at. They take reservations. You can book one right now. So if you're traveling in Germany and you're planning your route to the Rhine Valley or Neuschwanstein or Oktoberfest and you have the chance to check out Rothenburg oder Tauber or Burg Colmberg, do it. They are definitely worth the side trip.